Good morning. This nice crisp morning, as you can see. I thought I'm doing a little bit of a rundown on the Defender. There's a short list of things that I still have to do, including a few parts that are still missing in terms of that either they are ordered or they need to be ordered in terms of getting it through the checkup. It's not that much. Some safety things and some light bulbs essentially, so nothing super fancy. I will do a little bit on it now, and then I'm going over to do a little bit of work on the Cherokee engine, but let's go a little bit over the ready. So here we go. So the car was in the truck was in really bad shape. Front bumper was the least of its worries. The grill was completely pooped. There's still a few things like in terms of plastics that have chips off and whatnot. But so this front bumper is actually from my Cherokee. I cut it in beforehand, but now what I did was reinforcing it. So now it's nice and clean. A little bit more clearance. Not that that one needs it, but anyway. So the front grille is steel. I did an AC delete because the AC wasn't working anyway. The pump is still in there. Still runs on the belt. I was supposed to get the adapter off and get it over to a welding shop and get it TIG welded on some threads for quick connects, so you can get use it to pump up your tires. Haven't done that. Whomever buys it can do it. Otherwise, obviously, this is done to reinforce it a little bit, and the same on the sides here. To just that's 3mm aluminum plate, and this one, that one is a little bit of a bummer in the sense that it's a little thin. Could have been a little bit thicker because when I started welding it on, it started bending. You can kind of see a little bit like that. It's going up there a little bit, but that's how it is. So obviously the whole thing is now fluid film coated. The reason why it's not painted is because of budgetary reasons, and also would have needed to take the chassis entirely off to be able to get to all the cricks and like all the little corners and whatnot. That was just not the time for it. And also, if I would have taken everything off, then all the bushings and everything would have needed to be replaced. So we steered away from that one. So the plan was to have the rock slider or whatever you want to call it, and then go into this shape in the back, get a little bit more, get a step here to just have a little bit more here. To be able to get to stuff, because the original plan was actually to build a canopy here. Time is running out, so there is no way that I'm going to do that, but that was the original plan, to get a canopy on top, and then but a tube canopy. Not gonna happen anymore, there's no time really, but then it would have been cool to have like the side step. You can actually you usually have a panel here. I took that off because it's only for the looks, but now you can actually use it as a little step and get onto that one, and then you can access whatever you need to do on the inside. And that is the bed now. It was quite dinged up because it is a work truck, so I decided to put an aluminum plate or 2 aluminum plates on it to just hide the problems, but also just to make it look nicer. Like, this is way easier to just load things on. All the attachment points are still the same, so nothing has changed on that end. And then here we go to the fun part. So this thing was quite rusty, the frame. So I actually welded on all that here. That is 5mm steel. That I made like 2 little boxes for. I kept it open because I kind of think that looks a little bit cooler. This is still the original attachment point to the bed. Wanted to do something else, but since those were still workable, like they were not problematic in the sense of like rust and whatnot, I just wanted to use those, utilize all that. And there's quite a few other spots that needed to be welded up. So I basically went over with a hammer and knocked on it and see what happens. And that includes the whole front here, that whole part. Same on the other side. There was once someone already did a little bit of work beforehand just to get it through the checkup, and that was so terribly done, like with like 1mm steel or whatever, you know, like just tagged on and then put like rock protection over it, and that was it. So that was terrible. So it's essentially like the whole thing is like, you know, 3 sides are fucked and 1 side was okay. So I kind of utilized that 1 side that was okay and just built like a bracket over it. Now the inside. So everything here was pretty pooped, like including that whole part here. That is 3mm steel now. When the original was like 2-3 layers of 1mm steel like slapped together. Now it's 3mm steel, just 1 plate, bend over and bend it correctly and whatnot, and then weld it together with the rest. The same. That side here, that was pretty fucked up. There's a lot of mud in here, so that one is 1mm. There's a few things here and there that were also pretty pooped. So there is a lot of welding just to get it all like somewhat sorted out. But then we went like, okay, what do we do? Like the whole roof liner was hanging down, looked terrible. There's no way that we're gonna use that one. So I said like, okay, we're gonna do it like my Cherokee. Just put boom mat on and just keep this thing as raw looking as possible. Because when you use the Cobra paint, it already looks cool and it's protected. You can still, like, you know, like corners and whatever, they can chip off, but overall, like, this is like much more protective. That includes those ones here. They looked a little different beforehand as well. So I just went at it. So those seats are actually from a Mercedes SLK, sourced from the junkyard. Those ones are fairly plug and play. There's a few little things like the slider needed to, like, there were a couple of connectors here that I had to just grind off because there's actually, I don't know if it's possible, those pins here are for the sliders to lock in, and then the clearance, like the attachment points are a little bit different. Like this is the original one, and so here I had to make new ones. On the other side, it's the original one, so it's just a little bit more narrow. Otherwise, it's fairly plug and play. Like, I think, yeah, I made new holes in the sliders as well. Like, I drilled those out, but it's fairly straightforward. The middle console. So this one is actually registered as a 6-seater. All the seats were fucked, so there was no way we're gonna use it, and it looked terrible inside here, like dirty as hell. So I said, like, okay, we're gonna get a cubby or whatever you want to call a center console. Didn't want it to, like, we could have bought a plastic one, but then you still have to get it raised a little bit. Otherwise, it's like probably ends up somewhere here or so. Didn't want to do that, or you buy the other one, but then you're like in a hole for like you know, $500 or something like that, or 500 euros or whatever. So budgetary restrictions essentially. So I said, like, okay, but I still have like all this 3mm steel laying around because I bought a steel plate for, you know, $250 that I used for, you know, fixing up the frame and whatnot. So I said, like, oh, okay, you're gonna build one. Let's see how it goes, you know. And so this is what happens. And now this is a big old box. So now the back seats. Those ones were a little bit trickier. Yep. Because those ones are from a C-Class Mercedes. They are foldable. So I actually had to build a frame for it. The original one is like, you see here, like I used the original bolt holes. It also helps to stabilize the whole plate that is here, because everything is just plated, you know, like, and bolted on. It is an aluminum plate. Has attachment, or like, you know, sits on the frame, but still, you know, it needs to be a little bit more stiffened out. So usually there's a box here that you can access also by folding the whole thing over and then get access to it. But since those seats were fucked, they looked ugly. And when you have like nice seats in the front and then you have like the shit seats here in the back, that's kind of terrible. So I'm like, okay, let's get some. So the whole thing is foldable. Since everything is so tight, you kind of have to move that seat a little bit more forward, and then you can actually flatten the whole thing down and then move the seat a little bit more back. So this way you can load up some shit here if you want to. Otherwise, yeah, I still had some aluminum plates left, so I put that one on. And some cup holders are over there too. Yeah. So a lot of work went into it. 4 or 5 months of work. Still not entirely finished, but pretty much. But yeah, obviously, like the wheels, there's the summer tires. They're a little bit more narrow, but all of them, like, there's going to be an adapter, spacer, or whatever you want to call it, like a 3 centimeters to get the tires out a little bit more, to make that thing look a little bit more bulkier and just overall a little bit more. You can definitely fit a little bit bigger tires on. Like, obviously in the front you're a little bit more limited, but you know, you can get new plastic shit here that gets it a little bit wider. But because with the spacer you're gonna fill up that space a little bit better, so that's gonna be nice. Otherwise, my trailer that I also renovated, building all that stuff here, you can step on it and everything, and 31-inch tires. Those are actually from my Cherokee, like, I mean, just extra tires, and it's just an adapter on there from 4 lug to 5. But those are actually, like, they're going really well together in terms of like height as well. So because those tires are about 31-inch. So this one, you can get a roof tent on it and use it. It's a dog trailer for 4 dogs, but for big dogs. But you can easily, like, especially here, you can just load up stuff. And then here, like, if you have 2 dogs, you can just, you know, have one here. More room. There you go. So this is how the whole trailer looked like beforehand, just white and ugly. I built those ones as well, just to be able to. And this one is also like, it has air conditioning. It's actually heating, so that's good. And it has brakes, which makes it a little bit more problematic in terms of like getting through the checkup and whatnot, but otherwise it's fine. So yeah, so I painted this one, painted that one with Cobra paint, and yeah. So now, like, the last little things here and there that I still need to do, and then this one's finished.